Howdy! Welcome to Aspire Mountain Academy. I am Professor Curtis, your instructor for this course in Introductory Statistics. In less than 10 minutes, this video describes the best point estimate for population means, as well as the key question to ask when constructing confidence interval estimates of the population mean. Let's get started. So we can use the sample mean to make an inference about the value of the corresponding population mean. So this means, in essence, that the sample mean is the best point estimate of the population mean. If you think about it, this should make sense. Just like proportions, the sample proportion is the best point estimate for the population proportion. The sample mean is going to be the best point estimate for the population mean, because both proportions and means are unbiased estimators. So those sample statistics tend to target their respective population parameters. We can use this point estimate to construct a confidence interval for estimating the value of a population mean, just as we did with proportions. And just as we saw with proportions, that interval has a certain correct interpretation. Making inferences with the sample mean requires a normal distribution. So we're going to have to pull out our central limit theorem so that we can use the distribution parameters that we have and assume a normal distribution. So that means the data must be normally distributed to begin with, or we've got to use the central limit theorem to say that we can use a normal distribution in place of a non-normal distribution. But we can only do that if the sample size is greater than 30. So if we have a non-normal distribution and the sample size is 30 or less, so less than 31, that means we cannot make that inference with the sample mean with the methodology that we're going to examine. It's just not gonna work out. Now, before we go constructing our confidence interval estimate, there's a key question that we need to ask, and that is, do you know what the population standard deviation is? This is the key question, okay? And the reason why is because depending on the answer to this question, we're going to be using a different distribution to calculate our critical value that we use to calculate and our margin of error. So the answer to this question is key because everything else comes from the answer to this question. If the answer to this question is yes, we're going to use a normal distribution and calculate a critical value z-score. However, if the answer to this question is no, then we're going to use a student t-distribution and calculate a critical value t-score. So two different distributions at play when you're calculating the confidence intervals for estimating a population mean. So the answers to these key questions assume that the data is either normally distributed or that we have a sample size greater than 30, so that we can use central limit theorem to come in and say, yes, the normal distribution is a reasonable approximation. So we know about the normal distribution, but what is this student t distribution? Okay, we're going to examine that in the next mini lecture. And that brings us to the end of this mini lecture. I hope you found it helpful. You can find more mini lectures for this and other courses at AspireMountainAcademy.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.